Hello and welcome to JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. Actually, folks, this is episode number two of, um, of what we're calling behind the scenes of JRock's Pop Culture Revolution, which is, if you can believe it or not, um, is our spinoff series of the actual show. And so today, what we're going to start doing with these episodes is because um, our actual show, JRock's Pop Culture Revolution, has moved over to the Rock TV network. And we have our friends, my friend Tom Collier, who I used to host the This Is Metal show with. Of course, Tom is the president of Rock Music Group, which is a great record label, and they're launching this great YouTube channel, the Rock TV network. So we're over there now. So the new episodes we started posting last week with our Van Halen special. We did a two-parter of that on the 1995 Balance album by Van Halen, which was the final studio album to feature lead singer Sammy Hagar. As we discussed in part one and part two, we talk about all the tension that was growing between Sammy Hagar and the Van Halen brothers back in 1995, and how a year later Sammy was out of a band, and there's also a little bit of controversy over the fact there was a much darker Van Halen album than what we were used to, throughout the history of Van Halen. Mostly was like good time music, and we get into that and why it was such a dark album. And again, what's kind of interesting. Well, first of all, oftentimes, the show is very much unscripted, which is something I take great pride in. Now, when I say unscripted, what I'm talking about, folks, is the fact that I don't sit and read word for word stuff I have down on a paper. I will show you though, like when I do one of these episodes, because I do the research on what we're talking about. I want to seem like I know what I'm talking about. So I do write down key things that I find on the internet about whatever the given topic is that we're talking about. And so like you see here, I got some little notes here, one-page notes here. So I kind of if I kind of get lost in my train of thought, I have like a little cheat sheet here to kind of remind me of what I'm supposed to talk about. And so, again, I don't like to look like I'm reading word for word. So this is very much unscripted. I think it makes for a much, better show. But again, it's important to let you guys know that I do research each episode. We do. And, again, I don't want to just sit here and put together a 30-minute show and not have you guys entertained or feel like I know what I'm talking about. So, again, pop culture has been a very big thing in my life, something that I very much love to talk about. And that's why we do these shows. Now, a funny thing happened when we were recording part two of our Van Halen special, which in part two, we talk about some of the bonus tracks that came on CD2 of the 30th anniversary edition of the Balance album. And we talked about some rare tracks. We talked about the controversial album cover. Now, again, I kind of know what I'm talking about before I sit down at the laptop here and record an episode. But I was so getting into doing the introduction and letting people know what we're going to be talking about in that episode that I didn't see this until after the episode was recorded. But the Balance album came out in 1995, like I said. But when I'm introducing that episode, I see when I'm watching the episode back that I had a little kind of brain fart, a slip of the tongue, if they will. Instead of saying the album came out in 1985, I did it again. See, folks, I meant to say that the Balance album came out in 1995, but like I just did here, I had a little slip of the tongue and it said 1985 instead. So yeah, I did catch that, but I thought, you know what, I'm not going to be making a big deal about it. Let's just get on with the show. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, so, but that was a funny thing that happened. And then another funny thing that happened in recording part two of the Van Halen special on the 1995 Van Halen album, Balance, which celebrated its 30th anniversary last year, I got to be, I go to record part two, and I'm thinking, it's just about a 30-minute episode, and I get done recording the show, and I think, oh man, another great show in the can. Well, let me tell you, folks, something funny happened when I was recording part two of our Van Halen special. Something told me, okay, before I send the episode to Tom that I should, to post on JRock TV, I thought, you know what, I need to just check, make sure that everything came out. I'm sure glad I did, because you know what happened? Indeed, we did record part two of the episode, but funny thing that happened, I couldn't figure out why it happened, because I looking at the computer as I'm recording the show, everything seems to be working, everything seems to be in place, but when I went and downloaded the episode into my computer and play it back, here's the funny thing, folks. After sitting in front of a laptop for 30 minutes, the show indeed recorded, but for some reason, I had to go and record part two all over again, because the video is very much recorded, but for some reason, you could not hear my voice. There was no audio recorded. What happened? Oh man, what a frustrating thing, but got a great story to tell about it now, right? So, okay. So then by the time I realized that none of the audio recorded, oh man. So decisions. But I was on a deadline, and I wanted to make sure. Here's another thing, folks, I want to let you know. So now that our episodes are going to be premiering on JRock TV, the schedule for our episode is now, you're going to get a new episode of our show every single Thursday, and it's going to premiere at 8 a.m. in the morning, because we figure, you know what better way to start your Thursday morning every week than with a new episode of JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. Well, again, I could have, I've kind of been, I had to get up by, 4 a.m. the next morning, start getting ready for my day job. And I was very tired, but you know what? I stay up late anyway. So I said, you know what? It frustrates me, but I just sat here and recorded a 30-minute episode, none of the audio. Nothing I said can be heard. You know what? I want to get this, I want to figure out what went wrong. Never able to really figure it out, but I said, I'm going to have to record the episode all over again. So that's exactly what I did. And I still got up 4 a.m. the next morning. And I'm just one of these people that no matter how tired I might be, I don't need a lot of sleep. I'm used to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, Monday through Friday. I get the weekend off, so I can't complain. But I wanted to be sure, okay, record the episode over. That's what we got to do, folks. And you know what? We did it, and bingo, it recorded both the audio and the video. And you're going to get that episode. So when the episode premieres tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on JRock TV, I want you guys not only to enjoy the episode, and I want you to know how much work went into creating the episode. I mean, I had to record the show twice because the audio didn't get recorded. Oh my God. As you can see, I pulled all my hair out, right, folks? And we hope with the show, we also can entertain you, folks. That's the main thing. And I want you to see just how enthusiastic I get talking about pop culture. And again, JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. You know what? Everybody's welcome. Everybody is invited every Thursday at 8 a.m. to everyone's favorite pop culture party. Of course, I'm talking about JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. Okay, now, what are you going to get in our show tomorrow morning when you tune in to the latest episode of JRock's Pop Culture Revolution? Well, Easter is right around the corner, folks. So I thought it would be so fun to talk about and do an episode on it's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, that was one of my favorite things to watch every Easter. We kind of get into this in episode number 24, which is going to premiere tomorrow on the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. So you can hear me talk about, but what we kind of find out is when most people think of holiday specials, um, there's a lot more stuff to watch around Christmas time every year than there is Easter. There's a few things to watch at Easter, but not a whole lot. Probably that's what makes something like the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown, really kind of stand out. And so, but I will say, we also did a past episode last Halloween on the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. We did an episode both on the classic holiday Halloween special as well as the soundtrack. And so I thought, okay, I know everybody loves Peanuts. I'm talking about the Charlie Brown gang. Who's not a fan of Peanuts? I know I am, and it's so popular around the world. But Charles Schulz and Peanuts, they had a lot of success with the earlier holiday specials such as Charlie Brown's Christmas, Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving, and of course the Great Pumpkin that I just mentioned. And then when they did the Easter Beagle in 1974, that only added to their holiday collection, and that's what makes it so special to me. And so tune in tomorrow to the episode, and you will find out everything you need to know about the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. And so, like I said, I want you guys to get used to tuning in to a new episode of our show every Thursday. Please do yourself a favor and join the Facebook page for JRock's Babylon. That is my site where the show originally premiered. We got other shows up there at JRock's Babylon, and we also, from time to time, I do interviews with many hard rock and metal musicians and other people. You will see that posted on both the official JRock's Babylon YouTube page and our Facebook page. So go to both the Facebook and the YouTube page, and you can join and subscribe. We really encourage you to do that. Go over to Fire Rock TV and join their YouTube page, and they got a lot of great programming over there. And I know we talked to Tom, and they're going to be launching a lot of new stuff at Fire Rock TV. So subscribe to their page, and you will love what they are all about. Now, another thing that I think we're going to be doing with this behind the scenes show is talking a little bit about how we put the show together. Kind of letting you know when we're getting ready to post a new episode, and maybe what went into making the show. Like I said, for example, having to record with the part 2 of the Van Halen special, having to record that twice because the audio did not record the first time. I pulled all my hair out, as you can see, drove me back crazy. I'm just joking, folks, but yeah, and so another thing that happened that's kind of pop culture related, in the last week or so is, sadly, Chuck Norris died. Chuck Norris was a big time action hero in the 90s. He came back on TV as Texas Walker Ranger, but he was, for most of his life, known not just as an actor, but a martial arts specialist. So I thought, to kind of pay respect to Chuck Norris, that I would go and kind of find some interesting facts about him. And here's what I was able to find out that I thought you guys would all kind of enjoy getting to know a little more about Chuck Norris if you didn't already. Okay, Chuck Norris. Okay. Now here's another funny thing. So I thought, okay, I want to talk a little bit about Chuck Norris on tonight's episode, since he recently passed. He was a hero to many people, successful actor, successful martial arts artist. And that's what he was known for. He's known a lot for doing action type of films and martial art type of films. And so we're going to get into that. But funniest thing in researching some facts on Chuck Norris, okay, initially I went to one of my tools that I often use for doing research for these episodes. I went to Chat GPT because I wanted to get the exact date right of when Chuck Norris died. So I simply go to Chat GPT and I ask, please give me the exact date that Chuck Norris died. Well, this is so funny, folks, because this just shows you a little something about technology and why we shouldn't, on one hand, I embrace stuff like ChatGPT, but on the other hand, realize that should not be totally dependent on it at the same time. And this is a great example. So again, I was just simply going to ChatGPT and asking for the exact date that Chuck Norris died, because again, we're going to be talking about the man. I want to get the facts, correct for you. Now, this is what ChatGPT spat out at me. It said, well, the fact that Chuck Norris is still very much alive, any reports that you may be reading of his recent death are false. Any reports of Chuck Norris's death is a hoax. Well, I knew ChatGPT got it so wrong because Chuck Norris did indeed die. So I told myself, obviously, ChatGPT hasn't caught up with the news. So then I went to another site I often use, yahoo.com. I mean, Yahoo is one of the sites that they pretty much are, they announce like, stuff like celebrities' deaths and stuff. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to ask yahoo.com. And sure enough, what I was able to find out, I was very much right. Chuck Norris did pass away, folks. And he, now this is another funny thing. So it said, indeed, I was right. Chuck Norris died on March 19th, 2026. Now, not really sure what Chuck Norris died of. The family is kind of being low key. They're not really, they're just saying they want to keep it private. To all accounts, Chuck Norris was, I think, 86 years old, so age may have been a factor, but he was still fit. He was still in great shape. There was some talk that, the day he died, he had been working out or something, and then he was rushed to the hospital for some emergency, but the family really didn't want to get into what the cause of death was, and they asked that people kind of respect their privacy. And so we respect that, for whatever reason. It's just sad that Chuck Norris has passed away again, 86 years old, lived a long, healthy life. So maybe being 86 years old played a role, who knows, but we're saddened by the death. And by all accounts, anybody you ask, Chuck Norris was a super nice guy, really friendly, down to earth guy. And so here's another kind of few fun facts I was able to learn about Chuck Norris. It said that, again, okay, Chuck Norris died on March 19th, 2026. Oddly enough, that's the anniversary that of the death of the legendary Ozzy Osbourne guitarist Randy Rhoads, who tragically was killed in that plane crash back in 1982. Not that that really has anything to do with what we're talking about, but it's just kind of interesting that these two celebrities, share the same. They died years apart, but their the anniversary of their death is March 19th. Just kind of interesting. Kind of like again, I don't know who all cares, but like December 8th. Okay, we all know December 8th was. Going back to December 8th, 1980 was the day Beatle John Lennon was gunned down, murdered coming out of his apartment. And then, years later, I believe like 2004, Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell was murdered, shot down, prime of his life, performing on stage with his then band Damage Plan. And many people think maybe the gunman chose December 8th to kill Dimebag Darrell because, hey, it's the same date that John Lennon died. People do crazy stuff like that for crazy reasons. So that's just another thing to kind of, think about here. But getting back to Chuck Norris, it said that Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris made over 40 films in his career. Now, I, of course, knew, like many people, of course, obviously, Chuck Norris was a successful actor, but He made over 40 films. Before acting, this is what I found really interesting. Chuck Norris was a martial arts champion. He won a multiple karate championships over the years in the late 1960s. And then before he really got into acting, Chuck Norris had trained other celebrities such as Steve McQueen and let's see, Priscilla Presley. He would train them to how to do martial arts and karate and that. And so it was actually training Steve McQueen how to do the martial arts that Steve McQueen really pushed Chuck Norris into start doing martial arts films. And obviously, as we most people know, Chuck Norris's first big break came in. When Bruce Lee gave Chuck Norris his first major role in the movie Way of a Dragon in 1972. And then also we learned that Chuck Norris, before all that, he served in the Air Force. And final thing on Chuck Norris, folks, for the day is Chuck Norris created his own form of martial arts known as Kuk Do. And what it was is it combined different forms of fighting styles with a philosophy of respect and discipline. And if anybody knows anything about martial arts, that's the whole thing. I mean, we see these action films where, a lot of times you'll see the guys fighting and it's like you're really into kind of, trying to beat the crap out of your opponent. But somebody that's really into martial arts knows that that's what a true martial artist is really all about, is that philosophy of respect and discipline. Kind of, okay, if you're going to beat up your opponent, do it, but kind of you do it using that discipline and respect. That's kind of a big part of what martial artists do. And so, so what we've been doing, like I said, is since our show, JRock's Pop Culture Revolution, is now premiering every Thursday on JRock TV, YouTube channel. I'm going to start, we're no longer going to be putting the episodes obviously on our YouTube page because they're now going to premiere every Thursday, as I said, on JRock TV YouTube page. And I got to really thank my good friend Tom Collier. Tom and I, for almost 2 years, we hosted the This Is Metal show, which is no more. Sadly, that came to an abrupt end. We had this show on another guy's site, and he just kind of became difficult to work with. And it got to a point where, he even told me over the phone, this guy, oh my God, everybody thinks that you and Tom are This Is Metal. Well, we've moved on. We're doing this now. But I'm bringing this up because I want you guys to know that even though Tom and I are no longer doing the This Is Metal show together, that was not a choice that we really made on our own. It was kind of made for us. But I will say this. I'm very glad to have done the show with Tom during that 2-year period, because me and him have remained great friends over the years, and we continue to do things together. We will continue to work together. And I thank Tom and the people at JRock Music Group for this opportunity, for letting us play our show on their site, on their network. And so that's why we're going to start doing, we are going to start posting on JRock's Babylon every week as an episode of Behind the Scenes, kind of talking about the adventures of putting together this show and things that have happened as a result of it. And so what you will start, so we have a spinoff show now that's going to be airing on JRock's Babylon. And that's what this is, behind the scenes of JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. So you're going to be seeing more stuff like this. And I thought you guys would be interested. You'll notice this is episode 2. And when I posted episode 1, there was kind of a neat looking kind of graphic, that I used as a thumbnail. That's something I created. It's an AI generated character named Mandy Steele. Now, Mandy Steele, to kind of give you a background on who she is, it's a total AI generated character, but I created. Mandy Steele is kind of heavy metal rocker chick. She's a singer, a songwriter. She can play the guitar. She can play the piano, drums. Kind of a one-man band, a multi-instrumentalist, if you will. Mandy Steele is from Long Beach, California. She is about 24 years old. You see a lot of the AI-generated photos I've created of Mandy Steele. She likes to spend a lot of time at the beach and in the water. And so I'm going to start using these photos that I've created of this AI-generated character, Mandy Steele. She looks pretty rockin' and great way to kind of represent what we're doing now. So when you see these neat looking thumbnails, that's kind of what that is. And so thanks for checking out JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. And I'm going to end tonight's show telling you guys that I've already planned an episode number 25, which is going to be recorded this Sunday with my good friend Ben Hicks. Ben Hicks is the creator and the writer and the director for Midas Cove, which we have talked about. And what Ben and I are going to, he's going to be a returning guest. This will be, I believe, his third or fourth time as a guest on JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. That's another thing I want to do with the show that also in 2026. We want to have more guests, but Ben's somebody I knew that would be perfect for what we're going to be talking about this Sunday in episode 25. We're going to be talking about our favorite classic TV theme songs. Now, that is going to be such a fun thing to do. So that will be going up 1 week from tomorrow. So again, we're just getting ready to premiere our Charlie Brown special tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And we've already plotting and planning what's going to be episode number 25, classic TV theme songs. How cool is that, folks? Man, I really enjoyed doing this. So next week you'll also be getting an episode 3 of Behind the Scenes. So be on the lookout for that. And we're going to be creating a lot more fun content for you guys. So I hope you've been enjoying what we're doing. I do my best to entertain. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.